Boys.
Hey, my man.
How's it, buddy? How you, man?
Like you're booming through the loudspeaker. It's awesome.
Woo-hoo.
Woo! Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Awesome, bud.
And what about me? Can you hear me at the back here?
I can hear you, bud. Yeah.
Oh, that's great because Nick's right at the back of the room now.
Ah, cool. Yeah. I can definitely hear him for sure.
Okay, awesome. So obviously, people will speak up a bit more and what have you, which will be good. So what we're going to do, we're going to have one over here where I'll stand most times so you can see me.
Okay, cool.
And I'll stand by the sort of lectern here.
Yeah.
And we're going to have another one set up over there on the. I can actually log in there. Hang on.
Cool, man. Just one sec, bud. I'm also just going to close my door, okay?
No worries, man.
Go. See you later. Have fun. Cool, my man.
So let's see. What can you see on that one?
1 second. Let me just go. Okay, I can see you in the middle.
Okay, so
standing.
Is this height? This is where the chairs are.
That's perfect. That's perfect, bud.
Okay, cool, man. So then you can see the crowd. And what's on the
other one?
On the back. Or?
Which is that one up now?
Which one is the one on the left?
1, 2, 3. Is it?
No, 1, 2. Which is the third?
Garrett's one's on there now. That's right.
Oh, it's just the two screens. You're right. Okay, you're right. So that's okay.
Ah, perfect. That's perfect.
And sweet, man. Sweet. So we've got it all set up. We've got a Bluetooth speaker over there.
Yeah.
That you're going through as well.
Okay. Nice.
So you sound like right here.
Okay,
sound
lovely.
awesome.
Amazing.
You're on the bows.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And we've got then I'm gonna have the PowerPoint on that screen over there behind me.
Ah, nice, cool.
And my computer's over there.
Okay, perfect.
With the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And then this is gonna. Sorry, you're gonna be on this one.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Nick did a good job here.
Yeah, well done, Nick. That's amazing, buddy. Flipping pro.
He's busy setting.
I can check
setting up. Oh, you can. Oh, can you see clear enough? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I can check. He's got his arms around the TV screen or something at the back there.
He's setting up another laptop at the back. I'm not sure what for so that he can see this way as well, or what, Nick?
Yeah, so I can see this way, see the back.
Ah, cool. You can have another view from there, from behind the people. So
Wow.
you're going to be sorted.
It's amazing, bud.
You're going to be omnipresent.
Yeah, tell me about it. I feel like we almost have a hologram going on here. You know what I mean? Of me there.
What's the meeting ID?
Meeting ID. Gareth will read it to you.
It's 9978 56 4577.
I just want to look how you look here on full screen. Okay. Smile, buddy.
Hello.
I'm gonna send it to you. You can see how it sort of looks.
I'll send you another photo as well.
But you're right. sorry, I thought you meant earlier what time we're starting here at 6:30.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I think we'll, in terms of us, 7:10.
Okay, lucky.
So I don't know if you want to, we could have you on and just minimize, and you can just kind of be part of the thing the whole way through. I think that'd probably be the best, instead of like trying to call you. So you can do your own thing, and then we'll just have you minimized.
Actually, what's the run here? We've got you on it. Introduce at what? 7:05.
7:05.
So say 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Yeah, exactly like said go. Yeah, and cool, right?
Amazing.
And then we should be good. The only thing left is for us to actually do a decent presentation.
What do you mean you're supposed to be presenting today, bud?
Didn't I tell you?
Oh, flip.
This is the real thing.
I was just like, today we're just having a bit of a flip and joke around. No, you could see he had flipping the poker face on there. He was like, I'm really not to hear these jokes.
His wife was talking to him. That's what. So that's cool. Are you on at the background there as well?
I can check. Yeah, I can check in the back. Yeah, I can see. Actually, I can see myself. I can actually. That's amazing.
You look cool, eh? Wow.
Yeah, that's really cool, bud.
Epic. Cool, man.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. I'm wondering, like, how, just for like the overall recording, like if it's recorded in one go, how we add the presentation, like that's cool. That'll be some editing stuff later on, but because like Zoom, like Zoom's recording all these four now. If we had the presentation at the same time, that would be kiff. But that's cool. We've got it anyway. We can just add it ourselves. Yeah.
And this looks epic. It's like ultra high definition.
Yeah.
You look like pretty much the same size.
Actually, that's some hairs just coming out of your nostrils.
Oh, bud. It's nothing like that Neanderthal look, you know.
That's right.
Is it chilly there?
It's not too bad, but I'll take this off when we start, because I just want to. Yeah. Cool, man. So I mean,
behind me here.
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
This is a driving range, but right here, like right here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I can check it perfectly. Cool. Just behind you. Oh, so Oaks are actually hitting off there. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. People are actually like.
Yeah. Ah, nice, man.
Yeah, it's at a sports center. It's a pretty cool little venue.
But I was just wondering, like, so you don't need to have earphones or anything, do you? You're good. Because you can hear me okay, hey?
Yeah, I'm actually you just made me think. I wonder if I should record my audio so that we have this as an audio as well.
Like, can you do it on your phone? Yeah, maybe I can do that as well.
But I was thinking of filming with my camera, but you'll be filming and stuff. You'll have some pics and stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
So Shana and Callum will take some pictures as well. And Dottle's going to take some pictures as well.
How's our audio sounding there? Because if it's decent, then I can put my phone up and record it.
I would say you probably want to, if you want to record this, bud, you want to record your audio separately because it's a little bit echoey. That's all for Zoom.
Okay. Cool.
Have you got audio just coming through one place?
Yeah, bud. Yeah, I can see the other twos are on mute. The other two things. So it's perfect.
Yeah, so that's good. Ooh, I think is there anything else that you can think of? Because I feel like we set up, but maybe from the outside, you can hear us.
The only thing is, so I'm just trying to think. So I just want to see. Can you just show me, like how you're gonna like run through the slides? Like I just want to see if I can see it at all from the back screen here. So let's just try that, test that out quickly.
No, that's a good point.
Okay, I can see the ridiculous. Well, I can picture that you have the ridiculously human thing there. On.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not.
But just go to the next one. Like go to the next one. How are you going to change? Do you know how you're going to change?
I have to do that.
Okay, cool. Just do that. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Okay, that I can't see, but that's okay. We just because I've got.
It'll be good for you to see though, but because you could be like, hey, like be on the wrong side or something. You know what I mean? So
I'll be, but I can just pick it up by what you're saying, basically. You know.
So you can see over here we're all set up. So two presenters. So Gareth.
woo.
Here's one.
It's so funny. I can see myself waving on the screen there, like.
Check out this. There's a computer. There's another computer at the back here with the Zoom on.
Hello.
It's weird seeing myself in that one as well.
It's classic. Hey, how's it going? It's crazy, isn't it, bud?
It's weird, guys. And especially that you're the same size as you, and you're on the Bluetooth like clearer than daylight. Like
So amazing, bud. Isn't it amazing? Like how good it is.
Literally, yeah. It's like crazy.
We must take some notes, but we must take some notes from Nick on the whole setup of things, because just that'll be quite cool for in the future. So if we do want to maybe do like a podcast, say in person or something like that. I mean, I know that's a hectic setup there, but you know what I mean? Like, we only really need the one screen sort of thing. And
no, you're right. We'll definitely take some notes. Okay, I do want to see if we can try to get you.
This is the last one for this year. We've had a successful run of 5 this year.
no, but it's cool. But it's fine. It's fine. I can like listen to where you like just what you're saying, and I've got my iPad open as well, which has got the thing on it. It's got the. I'll send you a photo just so you know. So like I can track it myself.
Okay. You'll see when I go. So I'm going to do this. I have to do this to change the slides. I have to go here.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. But I'll every time you go there, I'll just go up one on myself. So you can see, like I just sent you a photo on your WhatsApp. You can see the bottom left-hand corner. That is my iPad.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, but I'm thinking I should maybe put your little voice. This is where you're coming through.
Okay.
There's little Gareth. I think I'll put you underneath you so this seems more real.
Okay. Sounds good.
There you go. Your voice is coming from.
Really? Wow. That's amazing, bud.
I think it'll just seem better.
And when you so bad, look at me on the screen now. Is it actually coming out at the same time? It's not like delayed or anything. No, not on this screen. On that other screen. So when I talk now, is it like in time? Okay, cool. Okay, so here we are. I'm in London. Craig is in Australia. He's recording me. We're trying to see if things are in sync. Pretty flipping cool. Woohoo! And but just so you know where you are, okay, make sure that you stay where you are, because when you move away from your screen, it goes dark. And when you come into it, it goes light again, I think, because the light's in the background. Okay. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to go over there to the same side.
Yeah, but when I'm saying when you change, make sure you come back to where you are. You don't like go off on the other side of this thing. So I can at least see you. You know what I mean? And for the recording, I have like I have you.
Okay, so you just kind of just stay here where I am now.
Exactly, but yeah. But at the same time, I'll say, hey, Craig, you might just want to go in front of your computer because I'm seeing you in the dark.
Perfect, but we'll just like go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Have a look, bud.
Okay, cool, man.
You've still got time. It's about another 15, 20 minutes. So you've got time to get in your car, get on your skates, come down here, and check out this amazing meetup tonight and learn all about
That's so cool,
podcasting.
man.
They're ridiculously
It's
cute.
amazing. I'm
Okay.
busy hearing our name get called out. So, but just also the bottom, well, for me, I don't know, how are you seeing the screen? Are you seeing all 4 screens as well?
I'm going to minimize those. I was just looking for now, but right now it's just you on my screen.
Okay, no worries.
I have to, the way it's been set up, my little laptop's got our presentation on it.
Okay.
So it would be good if on this one, it would be ideal. But yeah, just because Nick has to throw his one on here and you're on this one. So
Yeah.
I'll just have to, anyway, that'll be fine.
So you can't, so right now you can't see me when you look at your computer, or you can?
Oh no, I can. I would have liked to have had the presentation here.
Yes.
That would have been better. Because right now I can't see the presentation.
Okay, bud. Yeah. That's it.
I have to back there for the presentation, you see.
I got you. Okay, cool. Oh, that's okay, bud.
So
Like that's fine. That's part of a presentation anyway, I think, is looking at it as the host, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, but a little bit, but usually you have the slides there to like guide you.
True, man.
So I'll just be looking at every now and then to see where I'm at on my notes, which will be fine.
Yeah, okay, lucky, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I will reference my notes every now and then.
Okay, cool, my man. That's awesome. This is flipping cool, man. Now you see, I can see a lot of flipping hairs on flipping Nick's face and nose now, and ears.
I've been growing this one.
He's nice from far, but flipping, I'll tell you what.
When he's up close,
yeah, he's far from nice.
He doesn't have any makeup on.
Classic. I see, yeah, he's dressed up. Yes, checker. He's looking smart as well.
I know, and I even said to him, I was like, this is representing though, so.
Oh, but for sure, this is the outfits. I mean, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't know if you want to like do your thing, and we can just in about half an hour or so.
Okay.
You'll be on the whole time, but I'm going to minimize you so that people can't see you because Nick's going to be using the screen. Yeah, you'll be in the background. I'll mute you.
Okay,
right?
bud.
So you mute yourself, maybe.
Okay, I'll do that.
And then you'll see, like at around 7, I'll just come back on and I'll be here. I'm going to be sitting in the crowd.
Okay, cool.
You'll also be able to check, obviously, the happenings, so which is kind of cool.
Okay, cool. So I'm actually gonna. So I'll come back around about like 5:02 or so. If you need me before, then just WhatsApp me, bud. Okay.
Yeah. No, you do your thing, bud, and then be ready around 7, and then we'll be perfect.
Yeah, cool. Just WhatsApp me if you need me before then. Okay.
People have to like arrive and register and everything. So
no, that's cool. Yeah. But if there is anything that you need me for before, then just WhatsApp me. Because I'm just gonna go downstairs and grab a bit of brekkie and stuff.
No worries, bud. Okay, buddy. I'll catch you in a little bit.
All right, cool, man. This is exciting. Thanks for doing this. See you soon. Cheers.
Yeah. See you soon, my boy.
Cheers, man. Bye. I'll leave my screen on, hey, bud. I'll just mute it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I'm going to minimize you now, so
Okay.
I won't see you. If you need anything, just text me as well.
Okay, lekker. All right, cool, man. See you soon. Cheers.
Buddy. See you,
Bye.
bye. I don't know how to bring your presentation back up here.
That's right. It's just a swipe to the left. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off.
4.
Oh, it's 4, not 3. This is quite specific, this thing.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I'll set that one up. Right, let's just get hold of my VAs now and make sure they're on board to start posting.
So, chewing up.
No, not coming. Back in the back.
Probably.
There you go. I'm here. Thank Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Come on in. We're just still setting up.
That is okay. It'll get something. Thank you.
The connection.
What a convenient stand-up desk you've got there.
That's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Nick, how are you?
G'day, Ron. How you going?
Good, thanks.
Good, good. Had a good week?
Yeah, just going to make the most of it, whatever.
Oh, that's good.
What about you?
Yeah, no, it's been good actually. Been good. It's a wind up or wind down mode. I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Sorry, what was that?
It's either wind up or wind down mode. I'm not sure yet.
Right, okay. It's not quite time for one down, though.
Well, it depends on how
Sorry, I'm a bit, yeah.
it depends on how how hard you've worked up into that point, I guess. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Well, I'm starting to approach my bedtime.
Is that right?
I'll be all right, yeah.
I am too, actually.
Yeah.
We all have it.
I think it's past mine.
Is that right? This is the hard part to do the podcast with Gareth there. I'm always like getting tired after work and he's all ready to roll.
It's just off to have breakfast.
That's it, and I'm just had a busy work day.
Yeah.
So is this the only way that's good for you? Maybe should I sit in front somewhere? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, man.
There you go.
Few more things to go wrong.
That's it, exactly. It's all going to tell me now, so it's just when it's get ready to go. That's when it all has to start.
One short presentation. We just
All right, do that.
But yeah, we've got a good setup that Nick's got it from YouTube there, so he's going to be smoking one. He's sorted this guy. He's got a bag of tricks there as well.
Bruce. Yeah. Good. It's been good. Good to see you.
Yeah, no, I think we're excited actually because this is the first time we've done something like this. So. To present something is different to you take the back seat regularly. You let people do it. Exactly, yeah. You just sit back and ask, what's it going? One line. Okay, yes. Really? Wow, yeah. We use a lot of those kinds of words. I don't worry, I'll be listening. A lot of yards. Yeah. Too much South African. Yeah. We've got to go. Yeah. We're our citizens, but we still got the accent. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Enough of that. Yeah. It's that time of year. It's been a long year. Really good ones. I wish. I work the morning, get married, I work on Monday. In January. It will be hot there, but
Hey, Casey. How you going?
yeah.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
You're under a tree. You're under a tree.
Nice and relaxed now.
Yeah. Where you are. So, yeah.
Awesome. Oh, back into it, eh?
Yes.
Even yeah. No worries. Are you going to start this?
But it's been good. Very positive.
Sorry, I didn't say hello.
That's all right. I was looking at the window.
I was just concentrating on getting everything going, you know, so that's the opposite of platform.
There you go.
Doing well.
I'm just saying how good you've been before. Like, just another big once before, and said I could never.
Oh.
Lots of
One of those places.
Yeah. Old age. Older age.
But so I had that, but I didn't know what to do.
I did that.
I can't tell what it's
Yes, it's right. Oh, yes, I'm saying.
You're still getting the bars. You're going this way.
I think the places I can be. That's my first time in here.
Yeah, we can talk walking in circles.
Well, that's not really
It's just a break. It's not
Yeah. I don't really know.
I'll be he would be one of those
So, just delay. This one is G bar. And you always have Lars because he asked where it was today. My dad and those days, you had a conversation. Instead of take out,
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. Yeah, I didn't know that it was sold that many years.
Hang on a second. Oh, yeah, you got that wrong one.
Right now, It's like I can't do it. And I might have to go and explain. But, you know, you can't buy it. So you can have a look. Yeah, and you know what? I think leave another story. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm not that sure. And also, and on the cards, when you sell but when you sign up on the day, depends on the payroll. So let's just say, if you have a lot of staff though, you just sell it is a good part of the to be very old and not all it's also really hard to oh, you can. My wife's so anyway, that's why you know, it's all fresh on today. I'm very tired, very boring, and I've done it a lot. I know. I don't even eat lunch. Don't eat lunch, have early dinner. All right, well, anyway, where are you going to lunch on Friday? I'll find out where my appointments are. Oh, yeah, I can't. All right, anyway, yeah. I'll talk to you. No, I need something. That's fun. Yeah, all right, anyway, question. Yeah, I just was talking about yeah, I'm not going to stress. Just gonna let it go. Yes, that's exactly. Thanks, Liddy. All right.
Oh, okay.
Big job. Yeah, I do actually.
Let's patch it.
It's gone. Yeah. All right, we're just waiting for the last of the gaggle that are out here to move in here. So they're just going to make sure we get started. And we're live streaming tonight as well. So just don't look behind you, otherwise you'll be looking right up the eye of the camera. So. That's right.
We'll find out.
All righty then, let's get underway. We won't wait for all the rest. There's a couple of Dan getting a drink, I think, downstairs, and a couple more out there still chatting, so they'll move in when they're ready. Welcome along tonight. This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online meetup. This is number 5, I think. Number 5. So, so I've been going for about half a year. This is the last one for the year, and really excited by it because this has taken a bit of a logistical setup for the whole thing. So the good thing about tonight is we have a presenter here in the room, and we also have one streaming in from the UK as well too. So so it's amazing what we can do with online technology today. So it's great content tonight, but it's also about how we use the technology to really bring the world a little bit closer than just being face to face. But having said that, it's all about face to face tonight. The reason why we have live events is that there are a lot of webinars out there, lots of online stuff, but sometimes it's just good to have the human connection and meet and greet and that sort of thing too, isn't it? So let's just run through the agenda for the night. I don't know who they are. They're not mine. Oh well. So registration check-in, done that. Welcome. Going to have a chat about some cool online tools. So the purpose of one of the purposes of this meetup is for those of you that are in business, or how many people are in business, by the way? Who's sort of thinking about getting into business? Okay. And who's sort of actually not really sure? Okay. So I've been in the online world for probably 30 years. So I started before Google had started. In fact, I started in the days of, what was that, CompuServe? So, dial-up modems, that sort of thing. So I've been around for a long time in the online world. But more recently, over the past 10 years, there's been lots and lots of change. In fact, there's been lots of change over the past 2 years, or even the past 6 months. So, and there are new tools that are coming along that you can use in business, and some And sometimes it's just hard to sort of work out which are good ones to use, which are not, which are actually worth investing a bit of time and effort and spending those 2 days learning, and which ones you just flick aside because they're not going to be worth at the end of the day. So hopefully I'll be able to share some tools with you tonight that are ones that you can use and that are worth investing your time in. And these are ones that I do use, and these are some of my favourite ones. So we'll whip into that, and then we'll introduce Craig and Gareth, who are the Ridiculously Human podcasters. So they're our presenters tonight, talking about podcasting for business. And the reason why we have them here, apart from the fact that they have an awesome podcast. Who's listened to any of the episodes on Ridiculously Human? Yeah. So for those of you that haven't, well worth subscribing to. There are some amazing stories in there from people all over the world. So I just throw it on in the car and listen to it when I'm driving up towards Brisbane in the morning. But the reason why we've got them there is that I was told that YouTube is really where you should be online. What really surprised me was that more people are listening to podcasts and they're listening for longer than they are watching videos. And the reason for that is that it can be used in a whole lot more places than just video. So video you can stream, but the podcast you can be in your car, you can be sort of lying in bed just listening, you can be anywhere. So it's got, and it's one of the fastest ways to grow your authority and your influence online in business. So that's the reason why we have them here. Apart from the fact that they're two good-looking South African blokes, and they seem to get a bit of attention online. Then after that, we'll have some questions. There's a prize for tonight, and the boys have generously offered a fantastic prize for tonight. So those business cards that you put in the drawer there, we'll draw that at the end. And then at the end of it, then we can have a chat, with drinks downstairs as well to grab a drink. And we're sort of got to be out of here by about 9 o'clock. They get a bit tetchy if we sort of stick around longer than that. I think we stuck around until about 11 o'clock by night. And now we're just sort of, I mean, everyone's just chatting and having a good time. But I thought it was still 9 o'clock. So that's the agenda for the evening. So let's get into it. So we've got some cool online tools. First one is how many people go searching for images for their blog posts or their websites by just doing a Google search and grabbing the best one they find on Google. Yeah, I've done that before too. What really stopped me was getting a letter in the mail from some lawyers working for Getty's Images wanting me to pay them $1,100 for the use of a small image that I used on a blog post. So it was extortion, yep, and it was questionable as to whether it's legal, but these letters do come through. So I just sort of decided I might just avoid all that hassle. So if you do find an image, and we did speak about some image sources, I think 2 or 3 times back, like unsplash.com, pexels.com, picjumbo.com, and Flickr. Is also a good one. We spoke about some of those. So they've got free images there that you're free to use. You don't have to pay for them, and there's some really good images there that are a lot better, in my opinion, than some of the stock image places we buy photos. And in fact, who runs a WordPress website here? Okay, those that run a WordPress website, there is a plugin that you can use that will connect straight into Pexels. So P-E-X-E-L-S. You're going to have a search in the WordPress plugin repository and just type in Pexels. You'll find that plugin there, and what that does is it gives you access to all the images that's in that online repository. So if you're writing up a blog post, you just click featured image when you want to upload an image, and you can just search through from the back end of your website. Fantastic resource. But for all those other images, if you want to find out where it's been used before, one of the things with stock images is some of the best stock images are on about 5,000 different sites. So you don't want to look like everybody else. So there's an app out there called, or a website out there called tineye.com, T-I-N-E-Y-E. And what that does is you can upload an image there. So if you've got an image and you want to see who's used it, or even if it's your image and you want to see who's stolen your image and used it for their profile and pretended to be you. I did do that, but no one's pretended to be me yet. I'll show you how this works if I can bring that down. Okay. We're going to grab an image that I prepared a little earlier. So this is an image that someone sent me to pop on their website. Okay. So all you do is you grab your image there, and here it is, and you just drag it up into this area here. It's going to upload it, and what it will do is it'll have a look throughout the web, and it'll find out all the other places that this image is. So you can see, here's the original. It's on this site here. What's it, Caratostate.com. It's on Hair Affairs, Nude Beaches in Georgia. I hadn't actually looked at that image close enough to see, in fact, that's what it was. And Saad Travel, so an Indian site. So I think, is it? Yeah, so in this case here, it's only used 3 times in the week, so it's probably okay to use. So yeah, but get your own profile picture, upload it, and see who's used it as well too. So the next one is, anyone ever wanted to convert a PDF document into a Word document? Yeah, wouldn't that be good? Can you do it in Microsoft at all? No? Okay. There are some tools out there, but I couldn't find any sort of good ones that I could use. But I found this one called PDF Candy. And what that is, so we positive a whole lot of things. This is not just that there. You can convert a PDF to Word. Again, you just drag your PDF document up to it, and then it just turns it into a Word document. You can download and you can edit it and do what you need to. And then convert it back to a PDF if you like. Not 100% accurate, but it's actually pretty good. And you can convert a Word to PDF, or you can do that with Word anyway. And you can do things like compressing PDF documents. If you've got a website, one of the biggest issues there with PDF documents that you're using for downloads is the size of them. They get ridiculously big, particularly if you've got images in it. And it just takes forever for people to download, so it doesn't give them a good experience. So using the compressed PDF, you can rip out about a half to 2/3 of the size or the weight of the PDF without necessarily losing the resolution of the images in it. So, but there's a whole lot of things that are well. Unlock PDFs. Anyone got those PDFs that have got locks on it? You can unlock it here. And you can also lock it as well. So I don't know, why would you lock it if someone else could just unlock it? Yeah, so there's a whole suite of really good tools there. So it's my go-to place for PDF stuff if I need to do some things. Power supply. Shana?
Yeah.
Can you have a look in my bag to find the power supply for the laptop here? It's about to die. I forgot to plug it in. SSL. Anyone know what an SSL certificate is? Secure Socket Layer. Google says every site must have a SSL certificate. If you don't, they put this symbol out, or they put this thing in the web browser to say this site is unsafe, don't go to it. So, unfortunately these days, SSL certificates, you can get free ones. Most good hosts will offer you one for free. Some of them will charge a nominal price, so you don't have to pay the $200 a year for a SSL certificate, unless you've got an online store and you need that some level of security. So if you want to check to see whether your site has a SSL certificate, there's a good site here called SSL Checker. And this will actually tell you whether the SSL certificate is working properly. So sometimes they are installed, but they're not actually working properly. So who's got a website they want to check? Mark.
Costlesspaymentsolutions.com.
And you just put your URL in there and click SSL. Oh, that was easy. Thank you. Okay, and then what it comes up with is a whole lot of green ticks. The only thing you need to worry about here is that you've got all green ticks. Got a red one? That's bad. You need to go and get it sorted out. They have to be all green. So it's a good way just to check that your SSL certificate is installed properly. If it's not, you go back to your host or web developer just to get it fixed up. This one here I go to all the time, particularly when we're building websites and moving websites from one host to another. Sometimes it takes a while for the certificate to kick in, and we've got to force it on the server. So this is a good way to check whether it's actually working properly. Oh, responsive website. Who has not got a responsive website today? Excellent. We'll run you all through and have a look at it. Responsive websites. Anyone not know what I mean by a responsive website? Okay, so a responsive website is one that displays properly on mobile devices as well as desktop devices. So as you shrink the screen size down, you don't have the whole website just displayed in a small screen. You've got to pinch and zoom. Your website is displayed appropriately so that people can read it on a mobile device. So really important these days because how many people are using mobile devices now to check online? Most people. I think they said about 78% of people are using mobile devices to do things like shopping, browse the web and do things. And often people are buying on mobile devices and they'll do research on the desktop devices. So there's different uses for both the devices. So what we want to do to check your website is to use this site called Responsinator. And it's got a website that we can check.
Successology.com.au.
Okay. Successology. Successology.com.au. So enter your URL in, and what it's now going to do is it's going to render the website and show you how it displays across a whole lot of different screen sizes. So they've got iPhones in there, Samsung screen sizes, tablets, phones. Oh, they want us to do HTTPS. So this one, so you haven't got an SSL certificate on your site. That's telling us that because it doesn't have an SSL certificate, it needs to search it in the non-secure browser here. All right, let's let this one run. Okay, so of course the very first one is the iPhone 10. So that's what it looks like. So that's what your website looks on a mobile phone. That's what it's like on the site. So you can scroll through it as well to see how it's running. So you can see the bits that are maybe not displaying properly. This is the iPhone expensive landscape, they say. So you've got that view, and so it's just got a whole lot of mobile devices. There's your tablets. So your site's pretty good.
Front pages.
Front page. Oh, so you're saying we should go into another.
About us. And if you go to meet our team, and then go to Leslie.
Meet our team. All right.
If you go to Leslie.
There's Leslie there.
You have to read more.
I'll see more.
I think if you scroll down to the bottom, the certificates sort of get up the garbled with the backlink.
Yeah. Okay. So that way there you can see that this link over here, maybe that should be sitting down the bottom. So those are the sorts of things you can check to see where you can fix up your site there. Who's got a non-responsive one? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, mine's no good to look at all.
We don't want to critique it, we just haven't got it. That's okay. So Responsinator, that's a good place to just check all the responsiveness on your website. And sometimes some pages, most of your site's good. Occasionally you've got a page that's out of whack. This is a good place to check which one's out of whack. Oh, Have I been pawned? Who's been pawned here? It's not what you think. So you know how I think Microsoft had a breach at one point several years back, and the email addresses and passwords, someone got into them and stole them and then published them up on a bulletin board.
Device and #200B. You must give permission to connect your device to this TV. Allow button.
Who's trying to do that? So it's all this technology out here, right? There's a site out there called Have I Been Pawned? And what you do is you put in your email address to see whether your email address appears on a list of hacked passwords and links. So who would like to check their email address?
So, Karen,
So it's Karen.
yeah, at Kardashians in code. So like Kardashians, but Clark instead of
How do you spell Kardashian?
So C-L-A-R-K.
Oh, C-L-O. Oh, Clark. At
Yeah.
Clark.
And then Ashian, A-S-H-I-A-N-S. S and code.
And A-N-D.
Yeah, and code.
And Co. At it?
.com.
Oh, F-Co. Yep.
Like Ashians and code.
Oh.
So S on the end of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
.com.
.com. All right. Drum roll. Okay, good news. I know. So you have not been pawned. So yours is safe. Anyone else want to check theirs?
I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
CAS 3 LEE @gmail.com.
Alrighty. Oh no, you've been pawned. So what that says is someone out there, or probably someone, has got your email address and password combination. And what they do is they've got bots out there and scripts out there that go and try a whole lot of popular sites with those combinations of usernames and passwords. And they can rip through a whole lot of sites really quickly. So that's one way that people get access to your sites and banking and things like that. So if you use the same password for your online banking as you do for other things, here's your risk. Yeah.
Is that your latest password, or could it be any password you've had in the past?
It could. It's a good question. I think it could be any password that you've had in the past because you're not entering in your
Yes,
email
it might not
address.
necessarily be the one you got at
Yeah. So what it says is that there have been 2 breach sites that that it's appeared on. So it might be Microsoft and say LinkedIn. And the other thing that's important here too is it'll tell you whether it's had a paste. And a paste means that all of the details have been pasted into something like Pastebin or GitHub, and so they're available publicly for people to go and have a look at into scrape. And there's a Twitter feed out too. So as soon as this information gets pasted to one of these paste bins, it goes out on Twitter as well for the malicious people to go and do that sort of stuff. So for those of you that use the same password for everything, here's a good case for not doing that, and then use something like LastPass.com or 1Password and use that to store your passwords. And the good thing about those 2 programs is that they'll allow you to log in without remembering your password. I don't have to remember your password to LastPass or to 1Password. It's in your browser, and when you come to sites where you need to log in, it'll just auto-fill it for you and just click login. Or yeah.
Is that LastPass?
LastPass. Yeah, LASTPASS.
What else do you use?
LastPass or 1Password. It's number 1 password. So they're two of them. There's a few others out there, but they're the 2 popular ones. I use LastPass. I've just used it for years.
But something that's really mission critical,
Yeah.
such as a central email, so it's a good idea to use 2-factor authentication as well.
Yes, you can use some of the sites out there will have 2-factor authentication, which means you enter your password in, sends a text message to your phone, and then you enter the message in and then got access. So that's another level. That's been problematic for me when I go to the Philippines because I don't have my Australian phone when I'm in the Philippines. So you just have to remember to turn that off or adjust it when you head out overseas. Is there a cost? Yes, I think LastPass is something like $10 a year. There is a free version.
Why did you pay for one password?
Yeah, there are free versions as well. I've just got the I've got the paid version because what it allows me to do is to share my passwords and logins with my staff in the Philippines, and they don't actually get to see the password. They can just log in without having to reveal those details. So if I had a VA that left, I could just switch her off and she's off everything. And a new one that comes in, then just add them on and he gets added onto it. So it's quite convenient for managing those sort of things. So have I been pawned? Just check your email addresses when you get home. I won't check mine because I know I've been pawned a lot. ConvertKase. Have you ever had someone send you something all in capital letters? Yeah. And you want to convert it all, and you say, I type it all out again. Do I use Word? So ConvertKase has been a lifesaver for me. I use this all the time. So all you do is you grab your text here, and let's say you want to convert it all into uppercase. Just click the button, click it all into uppercase, and copy and paste it. Or if you want a title case, which often you want for some web things, just click title case and it'll capitalize all the letters of the word set. So that's just a really handy tool. I go there all the time.
What's that sign?
That one is called ConvertKase.net. Oh, and the very last one, I think. Ever wondered whether someone's got an email address? There's a tool out here which will tell you whether their email address exists. So sometimes I sort of guess email addresses, and they must have an email address. I'll send an email. Here's a good way to check it. So let's say we'll just check to see whether that's a valid email address.
Is that email.hippo.com?
This is called tools.verifyemailadress.io. Probably if you search email Hippo, it will take you there as well too. This one not going to work.
Can you do a bulk upload?
Export. It doesn't. No, I don't think it's not this one here. Yeah.
You just send it.
So yeah, well, that's right. That's the other way you do it. Okay, so this one here, it's obviously not working tonight because it says there's nothing there. Maybe it's been open too long. I did test it before. Enter the email address and it says yes, it's valid. Or it'll give you a result of that email address is not a valid email address, but the domain exists. There are emails on the domain, and it will tell you who it's with, whether it's with G Suite or what provider it's with as well too.
It comes up as email.hippo.com.
So what was that?
It comes up as email.hippo.com.
Oh, does it? There you go. So emailhippo.com or tools.verifyemailadress.io. Take your pick. Oh, sorry, there was one very last one, and this is, the reason why I saw this one today, a hacked website. Have you ever seen this in Google, where it says this site might be hacked? So this is doing a Google search, and if Google suspects the site might be hacked, it'll put this message here. What do you think that does to people when they go and have a look at this? They're not going to click on this link here, are they? So, so that's a serious problem, and Google, if you fix up your website, Google doesn't remove that. So you have to go into Webmaster Tools or Search Console and request for that to be removed. Clean up the website and put in a request for it to be removed. So if you want to check whether your website has been hacked, this tool here, sitecheck.security.net, will tell you. Anyone want to check their website?
AustralianSecurityAcademy.com.au.
Just enter it in and it'll spin through and do its thing. And Secure is a site that will also fix up hacked websites as well too.
I use security, so I should.
Was it? Yeah.
I use security, so it should be good.
All right. Okay, so this one says, for a start, the site's not blacklisted, so that's a good thing. Google hasn't got a notice on it saying it's blacklisted. It's got an issue though. It's got an index page missing, so you get some information. It's not a hack, it's just an issue with the website. And what have we got here? Index page missing, directory file missing. Who knows what it means, but it's worth investigating to find out what the problem is. Yeah, if you click on it, it'll probably tell you what the issue is.
What was that one called?
That one is called.
Site check security contest.
That's it.
Site check
Security. And down below you've got a whole lot of ticks. If you see red ticks, that's a problem. Orange ticks are a warning, so we already know that there's a problem there worth looking at. But as long as you're all clean here, good as gold. So that's the sort of site you want to go to on a reasonably regular basis, just to ensure that your site is healthy. Useful? Yeah?
Thank you.
All right. Any questions? Excellent. Look at these beautiful guys, eh? These are our speakers tonight. This is Gareth and Craig. They're from the Ridiculously Human podcast. Interesting thing about them is that one of them lives in the UK, one of them lives over here. They're both South African, so they're sort of spread across the globe. They're brothers from other mothers. I don't know how that works, but and they run their podcast globally, interviewing people across the globe, and have an amazing setup. And the research they do is second to none. So when you listen to some of their podcasts, the questions they ask are quite insightful, and they're doing some things right. I'm sure there are a whole lot of things they did wrong when they started, so maybe they'll tell us a bit about that. But they do a whole lot of things that are right. And if you're thinking about podcasting for your business, well worth listening to. If you're not thinking about podcasting for your business, you should. And again, it's well worth listening to. So what we'll do is we'll bring up Craig, and then we'll bring Gareth onto the screen as well. There we go. Perfect. So let's put your hands together for Craig and Gareth.
All right, so, this is a slightly different setup. So first of all, can you hear me, Gareth? We can't hear you, so we need to check and make.
Now you can hear me, but it's the mute button.
The mute button.
Yeah, it's always that one, isn't it?
Can everyone hear Gareth there, first of all? Yes.
Cool
All
stuff.
right, so, there you go. Nice and loud. It's beautiful.
Cool, man.
All right, so first of all, just thank you to everybody for coming tonight. It's really awesome to see so many faces. We also want to just personally just thank Nick for having this platform for us to be able to share our story and tell everyone a little bit more about us. Nick is always super knowledgeable with that kind of stuff. Like all these websites that he finds, I don't know about you guys, but every single one of those was like valuable to me. I'm like, I can't wait to check if things were hacked and pawned and these kinds of things. So, So we've had a few issues with these kinds of things in the past. So it's really valuable. So thanks for that, Nick. I'm going to, for the most part, be standing here just because then Gareth can see me. Obviously, the setup tonight is somewhat of a practice for us too. You know, so we run a podcast in this environment, but we don't present like this, generally speaking. So it is going to be a little bit interesting, but you know, I think everyone here is pretty relaxed, and if he has to tell me to change the slide or something, I'm sure you guys will understand. So we just want to basically just talk briefly about today what we're going to talk about. So we're going to just talk briefly a little bit about our how and our why. You know, like why did we actually get into this, and maybe why should someone else, why should one of you guys here tonight maybe think about starting a podcast? And you'll also get to know us a little bit better on the way in explaining these things. So we also want to talk a little bit about some of our insider tips, you know, like how to avoid some of the mistakes that we had made along our journey. And obviously we've had a number of those. It's just the nature of running something like this. You're going to have a learning curve, especially starting from zero as we did, and where most people basically do start. We'll talk a little bit about the podcasting industry, where it's at, you know, what it's all about, really. And then Nick will talk about our door prize, and we'll explain what our door prize is for you guys later on. And obviously we'll get to some questions near the end. That will be a little bit different. Gareth can hear everyone, but it might be a little bit muffled. So I might just repeat the questions to him in the end. But we'd love you to jump in and ask whatever questions you may have, because that's obviously stuff we enjoy doing a lot. So yes. So we'll start with introducing ourselves. Gareth?
Yeah. Craig, I just want to find out quickly, but do you want to record your audio?
But I realized I can't because I have to play a clip in a moment.
No worries, my man. No worries. That's cool. Okay, cool. Thanks, no pleasure, but so thanks everyone for joining us. Yeah, it's really cool. I just want to say thanks to Nick. Like, what a slick setup. This is really fantastic. So thanks for doing this for us. We're really, really excited to do this presentation. So 1 second on me. I worked as an investment banker in London for about 19 years, and almost 2 years ago, I decided to change my career, and now I work as an executive and lifestyle coach, and then the other half of me is the Ridiculously Human podcast. So that's me in a nutshell.
And the other half was obviously me. That's my one side of my day job. The other one is I'm a chiropractor. I work on Chevron Island, and I look after the health of your central nervous system and your spinal health. So that's what I do day to day. And then obviously by night, then I'm a podcaster with Gareth. It works out well because the evening here is the morning for Gareth in London right now. So what time is it there now, Gareth?
9:20.
So yeah, so that it actually works out well, because when I'm done with work, Gareth's getting up, he's had his coffee, and he's ready to rock and roll. So it actually works out very, very well. So we just got a short little video here of something that was made for us when we were at a recent conference, and it just shows a little bit more about what we've been doing lately.
Since we started, we haven't actually seen each other for over 3 years now. Actually, the last time we caught up was in Madrid. We were like, we should really start a podcast. Yeah. These conversations that we're having are really cool. It's called Ridiculously Human. We just speak to really sort of inspiring and motivating people around the world that have a really cool story to tell. Conversation is often not what it should be in our communities. Often something missing. We feel that there's a little bit of disingenuousness and a bit of facade. And we're not getting deep with people and having that open and deep conversation and letting the guard come down. And when you get through that guard, you end up having these amazing stories that we actually can all connect to, and we all have a similar story actually at the end of the day, and that's what brings us all together.
Thank you. It was a cool video. Yeah. We were very grateful for that when I put that together for us. So just expanding on a little bit of what you've seen there about us, and a little bit about our why and our how did we meet. You know, we've crossed the globe now, and it all basically it all started in a club in Ibiza in Spain, as any good story should. And so basically, we were living in Europe, and we ended up heading over for a holiday to Ibiza, and with a bunch of mates. And then just before we were heading out to hit the club one evening, this guy rocks up, and he's got his singlet on, and he's got the guns blazing, and he had just come in with this really good energy. And anyway, we went straight out that night, and we partied the night away, and obviously we spent the rest of that holiday together, and we ended up just having a great time, really connected, and we just ended up having really meaningful conversations that you don't always have with a lot of people. Sometimes you want them, but you don't always, find that real connection with someone. And we obviously had that, and that was kind of the start of how it all started. There you go.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So, Craig, you might just want to go a little bit to your left, but just a little bit, cool, perfect. But so yeah, like my take on that is, I just rocked up to Ibiza. I was actually going to be staying with some other friends of mine from London, but initially I was going to come and see a mutual friend of ours, Sarah, that Craig was staying with in the same apartment. And I just came there, and it was just like I was taken in with open arms. It was just like so cool. I literally felt like I'd known these people my whole life. And I didn't actually have accommodation booked. I was going to stay on my friends' couches, the other guys. And then I ended up staying with Craig and everyone else for like 4 or 5 days in Ibiza. So it was really, really, we just hit it off from the start. And after that, Craig was living in Holland, and I'm obviously in London. And we decided to sort of catch up, at various sort of times. And we were catching up, in Europe on like weekends away and stuff. And we were always having these like amazing conversations, and, it was like deep and just cool and whatever. And there was always a few of us around. And then it was one trip in Madrid where we were, we were enjoying a few like sangrias and beers and stuff in the afternoon. And we got into this little kind of dingy bar in the corner of, I don't know, some sort of plaza. And we were just having this like really cool conversation. And just off the back of that conversation, I think it was one of us that said, this is like such a cool conversation. Like other people would probably enjoy listening to it, like we should probably record these conversations and like, do it as a podcast or something. And I think that was literally the seed planted. And then 3 years later, we started the Ridiculously Human podcast. And part of what we're actually going through at the moment is we're going through a bit of a transitionary period, but it's like we're re-strategizing. We're trying to understand, like, why are we doing it? We're clarifying our brand message. So why are we doing it, and why do people want to listen to our podcast? So we've been both doing a bit of like, just understanding where this sort of comes from, the storytelling and things like that. And on my side, I remember one of the times I went back home to South Africa on a trip home. I was like one of my last days there, and I was never like seriously close with my granddad. And that was just because my mom and him weren't close, but I always liked the guy. And like I said, it was one of these days that I was there, and I was like, I'm just going to go spend an hour with granddad just to say, how's it? And, have a cup of tea. Cause he's actually an old English. He's originally from England and loves his tea. So I was like, cool, I'll go have a cup of tea with him for an hour, and then I'm going to go. And I ended up staying there for 6 hours. It was like one of the most amazing afternoons I've ever had in my entire life. And it was actually the last time I ever saw my granddad. And he took me through these amazing stories of him in the world, in the Second World War. Like once the World War had finished, he was based in India and in the Kashmir part. And he told me these stories of like how the British Army like basically formed this sort of middle barrier, and how all the Hindus went like one way and all the Muslims went another way, and like India became Pakistan and India. And I was like, my word, this is such an amazing story. Like we need to remember this, and people need to hear it. And that's kind of, I think that's been in my subconscious the whole time. And that's why we want to do the podcast as well, because we think there's such importance in understanding people's stories and creating a bit of history and legacy. So yeah, that's I guess, you know, why we're doing what we're doing. And Craig, you got a cool story as well about your grandparents.
Yeah, very similar. So we ended up having a chat, you know, like as we did, and we were like, there's so many stories like it. My granddad had the same thing, sitting having a cup of tea with a biscuit, and we just spent hours chatting, and Gareth and I were sharing these stories, and we were like, we don't want to lose this stuff. This is, you know, we should document this stuff because it's stories that don't get necessarily documented. And that was almost going to be the start of our first podcast, was to be speaking to the elderly actually, and just kind of like getting these stories documented, because it's actually quite important, because it's all, you know, you get these stories passed down, but they're never written in a book, or, you know, and you know, someone knows someone that knows, you know. So we really went down that road, but then we realized that everyone actually has a story, and that story needs to be heard and documented, and not just in a sort of a social media kind of a way, because that's, if you document something on social media, but I don't know, that's always the shiny bits about your life. So we were like, no, we actually want to start documenting and exploring people's stories in a more meaningful sort of a way, and that's when this really, you know, the whole of the experience of what we wanted to kind of capture in our podcast, and that's kind of what led us to where we are now. So just to add on from what Gareth was saying, so that gives you a sort of framework for where we sort of started this thing from.
Yeah, cool. And then just like, so moving on, like in terms of podcasting, like what you need to know, just like a little brief bit from myself. So I've always personally listened to podcasts, and I know that Craig has too. And I think I've probably listened to podcasts for about 10 years now. And it used to be time, I used to get the train to work, like the tube to work, and it was an hour there and an hour back. And literally I would put a podcast in, and I would, at the start of my journey, I'd like start listening to it, and then I'd finish on the other end, then I'd listen to another one on the way home. And I was just like, oh my word, this is such an amazing way to take in information. And for both Craig and I, like on a professional and a personal level, it's been a game changer, and it's just helped us grow as people in our lives. And the interesting thing for us is that we hear that people don't necessarily know about podcasts or listen to them themselves. So part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to sort of get word out there of like why you should listen to podcasts and why they're important to people, and a great way to consume information. So yeah, and then you got a definition for us, eh, bud?
So look, a definition is always a good place to start. What a podcast is, so as you can see there, it all started with the iPod, and then you're broadcasting in a mobile way. So that's the real nuts and bolts of it. But basically, it's internet radio that's on demand. So most radio stations, for example, you know, it's on their schedule. So you will get it when they air it, and that's the only way. But in this case, with podcasting, you're able to download your podcast for future listening. Which is also a game changer. When you on your schedule, it's on your terms. So you can get that same kind of content, but on a different, you know, on your own schedule, for example. You can take it with you on your phone. And the real unique thing about podcasting, or the word podcast, is the casting part. So in other words, what actually happens? So when you upload your radio show, your content, right, to your hosting platform, it's automatically sent out to all different platforms. So you've got your iTunes, you've got your what's called
Stitcher
and these kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these platforms, SoundCloud, and it goes to all of them instantaneously. So your listeners can be attached to any one of those, and automatically they'll receive it. So via the RSS feed, so that's called the real simple syndication. So automatically it goes out to all of them. What happens is, so the nuts and bolts of it is you subscribe as a listener, or your listeners will subscribe via the app on their phone to your podcast. And when we upload one, that's automatically downloaded onto their phone in the app. So whenever we do that, they might even get a notification, okay, we've just uploaded another episode, and then they can go on, and they'll have a whole library of content. Of maybe you like listening to a little bit of, you're in marketing, so you're listening to a marketing one. Another day you might want to listen to an interesting story about human connections. You might put our one on, but it's all in the library there, so you can actually go and access those at any time that you like. When I'm brushing my teeth, I've got my podcast on, or driving to work. So it's really valuable to be able to do it in those terms. The other thing is you don't need to connect it. You can just have it downloaded on your Wi-Fi at home, for example, and then you can take it with you. You don't have to be constantly connected to the internet. So there's many ways that you can use podcasts.
Cool stuff. And then we just want to find out, if you just want to maybe raise your hands, who doesn't listen to podcasts or has never maybe heard about them? Okay, perfect. That's good. Don't be shy. So what we just want to quickly show you is if you've got an iPhone, then we just want to show you how to sort of quickly find where your podcasts are, and just give you a quick little demo. So there's also these other phones called Androids. I'm not sure if anyone's got one of those, but if you have, then we can't show you, unfortunately. But Craig, do you want to just sort of show people? So if you want to open up your phones, there's a purple app. You can either search for it by sort of pulling your screen down, and you write podcasts. Oh, wait, what would you write? Hang on a second.
Yeah, podcasts.
Yeah, podcasts. And then and then what you'll find is there's this purple sort of thing with a microphone and round circles around it. And if you open up that, it should bring up some sort of screen. I'm not sure what screen you'll see initially. And from there, you can literally search for pretty much whatever you like. So if you are into I don't know, kangaroo racing or whatever the story is, there literally probably is that sort of niche for podcasts. And small businesses is a huge one. Motivation, meditation, literally anything that you might be interested in. War, there's some amazing ones on war and human history, and there's just so much stuff out there. So you can literally search on your phone for these, and it's free information. There's nothing, you don't pay for anything whatsoever, which is just fantastic. It's literally university for free. You know what I mean? It's one of the most awesome ways to consume information. And what we've actually got for you now is we've got a little audio of a little clip. It's a culmination of a few things. So we have a bit of Craig and I speaking. Then we have some clips from some of our guests on our podcast, and then part of our intro as well, which is what we say for pretty much most of our podcasts. So, Craig.
Connections between human beings is not quite what it could be, and we ought to have these deep human connections be explored. So make the most of that, enjoy being alive, connect with our next to you, and try and make a little bit of a difference as well.
That's the thing that's hardest for me to bear, is the idea that she's going to lose me probably in the next year or so. It's hard to tell.
And then method was invented by industrialists to train kids to do what they're told. And so why are we surprised that adults want to do what they're told? But in their world of revolution, doing what you're told is overrated.
And she clued me into the fact that when the soil is exposed, it's almost like a wound. You need to take care of it. You need to cover it. It's bleeding.
So the next day, I'm thinking they're going to rape me. I'm going to be raped, right? I got away with it last night. I'm going to be raped, right? So then I thought, I've got to do something.
And then you turn up to work one day and your worst nightmare comes to life. You find a shark. It's attached to your body, and it's literally everything you've had nightmares about has come to reality.
Hello, everybody. We're looking forward to spending the next hour and a bit with you. My name is Craig, and I am one half of your hosting team. This is a podcast, just so you know. It's our podcast. It's your podcast too. Welcome or welcome back to the Ridiculously Human podcast. My name is Gareth, and I'm the other half of your hosting team. We are South African brothers from other mothers. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to spend a little time with you today.
We're grateful that you're on this podcast right with us. We are your guides on duty today, sharing stories for this life journey towards self-improvement, soul awakening, and it's ultimately our mission to explore and create greater human connection.
So the reason we showed you that is that when you're listening to something, you're engaging with your imagination in a different way. And it's something that obviously people listen to radio, and back in the day that was the primary form of thing. But we want to it's good to bring that back because it engages your listeners in a very different way. You're literally inside their ear for sometimes a few hours at a time. And in terms of your marketing, and in terms of your message and that kind of thing, that is literally like a game changer. It's very powerful because they get to know you on a very different level, isn't it, Gareth?
Yeah, for sure. And there's a few other reasons as well, and one of them which actually just came to mind now, which after listening to that intro again, or that clip that we did again, was for us personally, it's been a lot about relationship building. And one of the guys that you just heard on the audio clip there that was talking about being raped, Paul Connolly. You have to go and listen to the full podcast. But anyway, so he was like in a child's home when he was younger and was sexually abused and molested and mentally and all these sort of things. But anyway, so yesterday I went to his court hearing or tribunal hearing in London at one of the courts because there's a big inquiry going on around the sexual abuse which took place over the years back in the day, but still goes on now, and they want to obviously stop that going forward. So for us, relationship building has been a big one. But other reasons why we might want to start a podcast is, these are not exclusive to big name media at all. Like literally anyone in the world can start a podcast. Like it doesn't, and you can start it simply just with your iPhone and recording audio there. And that's all you need. And you can literally pretty much launch that way, with one or two other things, but it can be that simple. And the nice thing is that it's solely your platform, right? So anything kind of goes. Whatever you want to talk about is good. If you want to swear and all that sort of stuff, then you must just make sure you mark it as explicit so people know what they're going to know what to expect. And no one is actually censoring what you say. So it's not like you're on a radio show and you can't say something because it's a bit too political, or you might upset somebody, or whatever the story is. You have full control of what you want to do, which is really, really nice, and it sometimes takes a little bit for us as well to remember that, that we can just say what we want, and it's been one of the lessons for us to sort of come out our shells a little bit and actually do that too. And then people really enjoy actually listening to you, and they really get to know you personally and trust you as well as a person. So if you looking to build up whatever you're building up, that's a very important thing. And there's something special about and personal about being in somebody's ears, and it just, I don't know, subconsciously they get to know you in a bit of a different way. Craig, you just disappeared.
You were gone for like 5 minutes, man.
Oh, was I? Did you hear me?
No.
You didn't hear me?
No. You were at relationships? You were building relationships.
Oh, so the whole thing you basically missed.
You just missed some gold right there.
Oh, that's cool. Round 2 is always much easier. Okay, cool. Let me just go again on the relationship building. So this is more of a personal reason for us why we did, not because we did it, but we found out it's been a good reason. Is like, so on the on the audio clip that you heard, there was a guy. Oh, you heard that part? Okay. So you finished that?
You finished that, but after that.
Okay, cool. Okay, good stuff. Okay, damn, that was a really good part. No, I'm joking. So the cool thing about podcasts is that these are not exclusive to big name media at all. Okay, literally anyone can start a podcast. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are.
You don't have to have fancy equipment or whatever the story is. You can literally do it from your iPhone. You can record the audio on your iPhone, and then you just have to upload it basically. So that's the cool thing, is it's available to anyone to do. It's also cool to remember, and important to remember, that this is like solely your platform, right? So anything kind of goes. There's no actual censorship in terms of what you say, and there's no one controlling the content either, which is great. The only thing that you have to do is, if there's a bit of swearing, any swearing whatsoever on your podcast, you have to mark it as explicit. So that's just one thing to remember. But literally, that's the nice thing. You're not controlled by, like, anything that's maybe too political, or you hurt someone's feelings, or it's just there's a bit of controversy around it. You can literally say what you want, which is quite important. And the other nice thing is, people actually really get to know you as a person, right? They get to understand you, and if you're doing, like, I guess, some good work, you're able to build up trust. And especially if you're in a business, trust is probably one of the most important things. So by them just listening to you and having you in their ears, subconsciously, it just sort of adds this other layer onto the relationship that they have with you.
For sure. And what Gareth's speaking about there as well is also becoming an expert. So when you are in someone's ear for so much time, you automatically take on that role in their mind. You just seem to know a lot about whatever subject you're talking about. And that obviously is super important when you've got a business. So the way, there's different ways, obviously, to talk about, like, how to leverage yourself being an expert, right? So you can have speaking, you can take speaking gigs, you can make books, courses, etc. But this is going to be one way to obviously leverage that for other aspects that you can obviously then monetize as well. So we'll come to that in a second, a bit more about the monetization of things. But that's just another important aspect to be the expert by being heard regularly is important. Take it.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's not just about starting a podcast, but also why listen to a podcast. And the amazing thing about podcasts, which I touched on earlier, is that you literally have access to almost any subject that you want. Doesn't matter how niche-y it is. And often the people that are talking on these podcasts are experts in their fields, which is amazing. And it's all for free. Like, literally, the only thing that you might find annoying is that some people monetize their podcasts in terms of ads, but there's a cool little, like, fast forward button, and it's just like 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and you kind of press that a few times and you get over the ads, which is quite nice in the beginning. And then you can actually, like I said, pick and choose whatever you want to listen to. And the other cool thing why I listen, is because you can do two things at once. So I find it's an awesome distraction a lot of the time. So especially things like chores, like house chores, washing the dishes, or I don't know, whatever you're doing, vacuuming, or I don't know, whatever, dusting, you just chuck in a podcast. And when it's something that's cool to listen to, you almost don't want the chore to end, because you're enjoying the podcast so much. So it's a great distraction. And one of the things which actually stuck in my mind, many years ago, I did this 24-hour adventure race. And through the race, you get to meet a lot of other people that are doing it as well. And I remember one guy telling me, he said that he studied his MBA through listening to audio and through podcasts. And that's how, and this was while he was training for an ultra marathon and these ultra events. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. What a great use of your time. So yeah, there's some good reasons, I guess, to listen to podcasts too.
For sure. And so let's talk a little bit about, a little bit more about, what you need to know about starting a podcast, right? So are there any people here that actually have thought about starting a podcast? Okay, so there's quite a few of you, all right, which is great, and it's really good, because I think that's, we'll come to it in a sec, but the stats are in your favor, definitely by thinking about doing that. The first thing you've got to do when you're starting is do courses. There's so much information out there, just YouTube. Gareth and I, for months, just consumed that stuff before we started. There's John D. Dumas, JLD's stuff, podcasting or Podcasters Paradise. It's a paid platform where you can also be part of a mastermind and what have you. Great. I mean, you've got the support out there. It's not hard if you want to. There's Colin Gray, Pat Flynn, and then we also use Udemy and Skillshare a fair amount. And so some of those are slightly paid for, some of them aren't. But it's the information is certainly there. So there's definitely ways. That's the way to start. It's just to get the information in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another important thing is just to remember that it is actually quite simple. It's not rocket science to set up a podcast. And although the way we did it, like Craig said, we literally did courses, and I don't think we even paid for anything, and we just learned the sort of ropes going that way. And then the other thing, which is very important, which you probably hear a lot of people talking about, in business these days, because we have access to so many people with the internet and stuff, which really is important to actually find your niche. What is your niche? Like, who you're trying to target? What is the listener profile that is going to listen to your podcast? So identifying that really helps you with actually going forward and not being overwhelmed about, okay, I want to please these people and these people and these people. Because when you know what your niche is, it's much easier to actually produce your content. Right. And then also decide on what your format style is. And by that, what we mean is, like, do you want to do an interview style podcast with us? And interviews have their positives and their negatives. So, we won't run through those, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Or do you want it to be just, say, you talking because you're an expert, you're a doctor, you're a neurologist, whatever, you're a rocket scientist. You have some really good information to share, or you're in a story, and whatever the story is, it might just be you talking on your experience and your knowledge. It might be you animate. Who knows? It's up to you to decide, but do decide on that. I think it's important. And it helps with also defining your niche and your avatar that's going to listen to you. And then it's also important to have a launch plan, right? So we had a 3-month launch plan, and we had literally written down tasks that each of us had to do every single week. Tiny ones as well, you know what I mean? I don't know, just real, make sure that you have bought a microphone, and make sure that you've paid for the web hosting and the audio hosting and stuff. So you really have a proper 3-month launch plan. And that helped us know. And we had caught up once a week, every single Monday morning for 2 hours. We gave an update. We updated our spreadsheets. And we stuck to the plan because we had one, which was great.
Yeah, that's a testament to Gareth's banking days. He did a great job of getting spreadsheets out. But it certainly does help to have that plan. It's massive. And Gareth touched on it there, the hosting. Hosting is often quite complicated to people. It seems weird. Where do you actually upload your content to? We use Libsyn is the common one, and we're very happy with them. They've got things to look out for. There are your statistics, and because you can then see who and how long of well, that's more Google, but how many downloads are you getting, and you can start getting where are people listening, etc. And that's quite really good for your marketing as well, because you know where your listeners are, and you can find all that information through your hosting platform. There's a number of other ones that you can look at. You have to just do your research on what are you looking for, how much do you want to pay, and how much data will you be using, because the pay rates change if you're uploading massive long podcasts like we are. So it does change the price. But if you, generally speaking, if you've got a shortish one, it's very, very affordable to find your hosting platform. What you do then is you upload it to your hosting platform. They then, via the RSS feed, send out that information to all the different platforms, and then your listeners can then find your podcast wherever they like to listen to it. So that's just an important thing, is to find which hosting platform you want to go with. It's one of the early stages of getting started, right? So yeah, that's like would you add anything there, Go?
No, that's good. I mean, like, these are all, high level things, you know what I mean? So we just want to sort of give you a kind of overview of what it is. There's obviously lots of intricacies and things within that, but that's pretty much it, I'd say. So Craig, I don't know if you're I can't see the slide, but if you want to move on to the next slide, maybe the lessons.
Just to let you know, you can't see the time. I think we've got 5 minutes.
Oh, flip. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're just gonna run through these pretty quickly, right? We've been doing podcasting for a year now, and we've learned a hell of a lot. And every single day we learn so much still. So we've got a sort of few buckets of lessons. The first one is just around like episode lessons, and make sure that you're prepared for each episode. So we do a lot of preparation for each guest that we interview. We do about 2 hours research on that person. We then plan the interview now. We never used to plan it that much before, but now we do. We write a whole set of questions that we would like to cover, that has a good flow, like a chronological flow in terms of their life and what we want to get out of it. So make sure you do that, like, even if it doesn't matter what format you're doing, because then you don't stumble and you have something to refer to if you like kind of don't know what to ask next. So preparation is key for any episode, doesn't matter what format.
For sure. And coming to some of the marketing lessons, that's obviously an important one for you guys as being business owners. Gareth mentioned earlier, finding your niche and your avatar and your hero. Who's your hero in your story? Remember to focus on that, your story brand, and it's just vitally important, not only for getting your listeners engaged, but also vitally important if you want to monetize. Because what happens is, if you're in a very specific niche, the people that are the advertisers, they are going to be very willing to give you some money or to put their advert on if they know that you're very niche. So if you're very specific on whatever subject you're good at, the advertisers, if you want to go that route, obviously we're choosing not to go that route. But if you want to go down that, make money from your podcast directly from adverts, for example, that's probably the easiest way. Then you need to be quite specific with your niche, because that will guide your advertisers to know what you're doing, and then they can pay you some money.
Cool stuff. And then in terms of technical lessons, you can probably see on the slide there, there's a hell of a lot of ones that's just a subset of them, but we've only we chose kind of 3 we thought we could probably add a bit of a story to. So the first one was around, make sure that you check the memory storage and usage of your computer. So we've had a couple of scenarios where we've had a podcast and literally halfway through, like the computer, and my computer in particular, just like stopped working. And I was blaming the Wi-Fi for not working, but the actual issue was because my memory was full on my computer. So it wasn't able to sort of transmit the video and everything that was going on, which just really interrupted that particular episode, which was a shame because it was with a really nice guy and it didn't end up that well. But that was a big one. And we've had guests with the same issue that we've had to sort of walk them through removing their storage or opening it up at least.
For sure. And also another one is getting your guests to record their audio. So if you are going to have an interview podcast, make sure that they've got their good old iPhone out and they're recording their own audio on their phone. Believe it or not, that's quite a good, wherever my phone is, it's quite a good recording device. And if you are having delays like we've had a few tonight, that's being recorded, generally speaking, on Zoom. And then you have to use that audio on your podcast, and doesn't sound very good. So what you do is you get your phone out, you record it that way, and then you add their audio into your own separately recorded audio, and then you just put it all together, and suddenly you've got this nice flow that with uninterrupted audio. And it's one of those little tricks that just makes a massive difference, because you could just record through Zoom, but then you're at the whim of the internet and whatever else, and storage issues, etc.
Yeah, for sure. And then actually launching it and doing all the work and stuff can be a little daunting, especially if you're like a one-man band or, you know, one-girl band. Like it's really a lot of work to produce a podcast. So, you know, we've only recently started using virtual assistants, which help us with just a couple of things, like a little bit of the audio editing, as well as some writing and just documenting and transcribing each podcast that we have. So, but you can use virtual assistants for anything. And there's such great platforms out there to find people. You just need to make sure that you prep them right and you give them the right procedures in terms of what you're actually looking for. And spend the time finding the right person. I would say that's probably the most important thing. And it comes back to preparation, like everything does. If you spend 5-6 hours writing out your procedure guides and vetting the virtual assistants, you'll get the right person. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the right person and you're going to get frustrated. So do the work in the beginning.
100%. And we're going to just try and move a little bit quickly here. So some of our philosophical journey lessons are quite important as well. 5 minutes again, that's great. Yeah. We'll blame the internet. Yeah. So one of the big thing is remaining flexible. You have to be able to go with the times. You have to be able to, especially if you're working with someone else, you have to remove ego from the equation. And I think this is probably just, you know, good business sense anyway. And be able to look at the statistics and look at the KPIs on your podcast and respond to those. Also, the feedback from your listeners is massively important. So be aware of those and be very patient. This is super important, and we can't stress that one enough. This is often a slightly longer tail, but you really are getting into people's hearts. So stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's so important to make sure that you're honest with each other. Often, I think this is where businesses and people, it doesn't matter where you are, you slip up because you're not 100% honest with each other. To make things move forward in the best possible way, you just need to go, you know what, Craig, I think this is a stupid idea, or Gareth, this is dumb. What are you thinking? And we found that, you know, being honest with each other, even though it gets difficult, and not that we've had like any issue whatsoever really, but there are times, you know, when you're two kind of strong personalities, you clash a little bit and there's this tussle. So you just need to work through that and be honest with each other. And that's been part of our success and ability to be flexible and change as we sort of go along this journey and you know, discover who we are and what the podcast is about. And then moving on to practical tips and advice. So one thing is like around monetization, and that's actually probably the biggest question and most asked question we ever get. There's like, so how are you guys making money? And, you know, how much money are you making? And all these sort of things. And we actually have decided, like, we don't want to monetize our podcast in terms of we don't want to like put ads and that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're breaking up. You good?
Okay, cool. So we don't actually want to monetize our podcast in terms of having ads and that sort of stuff on there. We want to use this podcast as a platform for us to do things like we're doing now, to do talks and to, you know, to share information that way, which can ultimately lead to income in some sort of form. So you can monetize for sure. And it is something which a lot of people do, and they make a lot of money out of it. But we must stress that is few and far between as well.
Yeah, and you know, moving swiftly again, audit your podcast, audit your business, audit yourselves regularly, check in with yourself, be honest, and then make changes and move forward. So important.
Yeah, for sure.
So auditing in terms of sitting down and saying, are we on the right path? Are we sticking to our goals? What is the feedback? And actually sit and do that. And it takes a bit of a hard, it's not always easy to have that hard look at yourself and go, you know, are we doing what we set out to do here? Yeah, exactly right. Yourself, the mirror, basically. And that's what I mean by, what we mean by the audit on ourselves and on what you're doing. You know, you should do this in business in general.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's always important to consider the listener experience and just see things from their perspective, and also the new listener experience. So there's going to be new people that come to you and listen to your podcast each week, you know, that haven't heard you before. So always be considerate of what that is like. They haven't necessarily followed you the whole journey. So understand, okay, cool, this is the person listening to me for the first time. How should I try and frame things for them? Which is just something to take into consideration as well.
Yeah, and just before we sort of end off here, guys, and that's going a little bit longer here. Thanks for your time. We wanted to just talk briefly about some of the statistics, because, you know, where our podcast at? What is the thing in the industry? And as you can see, that's quite a number. There's 528,000 registered podcasts, which is a lot around the world. However, there's only 125,000 that are actively updated. So, it's, you know, there's actually, in the whole world, it's not that massive, is it, if you think about it? And that leaves a big gap. You know, the people that are actively sticking to it are rising up to the surface, because there just aren't that many people. If you consider how many blogs there are, that, I mean, I don't even know what that number is, but it's way bigger than even the bigger number there. So that's quite actually an encouraging statistic in our opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And then a lot of things which people like, they sort of get hooked on is like their download numbers, and often it brings down people's confidence and motivation to carry on, because they just hear like the huge download numbers that people are getting. But it's one stat to think about, but not necessarily worry about too much, you know, especially in the early days. Your first 2 years, don't worry about it too much. And these are just some numbers here. So basically, you know, most people are getting about 145 downloads per episode. Then you can see the other top 20, the top 20% are getting 1,200. So, you know, that's a big number, you know what I mean? So, and most people are not getting that, which is really, and then only the top 1% are getting like crazy numbers, about 33,000. And that's probably the point where you'll be able to monetize your podcast. So only if you're in the top 1% will you really be able to monetize it from things like ads. So don't get disheartened. Do you know what I mean? Like, do not get disheartened.
Which one's the top 1%?
So the question is, which one is the top 1%?
So 33,000 downloads, per episode. Sorry, it's actually gone. There's actually an extra zero there. Sorry, there's an extra zero. Yeah.
The question is, which one? We would probably imagine it's probably Joe Rogan Experience. I'd imagine it's probably the number one podcast out there. I don't know that obviously verified, but just by knowing how many downloads we've heard he gets, it's massive numbers. Yeah,
I know. So, and just so you know, that number, I just checked it now. It's 33,000, not 330,000. So, but anyway, he is getting like 2 million. Guys like Sam Harris are getting 2 million, but there's also like serial podcasts and stuff, and they're like huge. So, but yeah, not many people are getting that, I promise you.
Yeah. So that doesn't matter too much. And blogs are actually getting searched less than podcasts now on the internet. So podcasting is definitely a massively growing medium, and there's a lot of scope because you can do two things at once. Basically, that's why.
Cool stuff. So, and then I guess the other one is there's actually no favorite length of a podcast. So people will go, 20 minutes, that's what you should be doing and focusing on. But the stats and the data don't actually prove that whatsoever. So the thing to remember is, if you have only got 5 minutes of good information to share, make your podcast 5 minutes. If you have got 4 hours of good information to share, then feel free to share the 4 hours. So one of the most downloaded podcasts, which is also one of the least released podcasts, is one on history called Hardcore History. It's Hardcore History, Craig? And his podcast is 4 hours long normally. And, it just proves, and all those stats prove that it doesn't matter. There's no favorite basically. So that's important to remember too. Cool. And then just sorry, we've overrun a little bit. We actually, we didn't really know how long this would go. So thank you for your time, guys. And Nick especially for organizing this. And there's a door prize, as far as we understand, every single event that you guys have when you catch up. So Craig and I would like to offer anybody that is looking to start a podcast. We're more than happy to, spend an hour or a little bit longer if you want, like on a call, and, just run through whatever you're doing, like whatever stage you're at, and help you get it off the ground. And, we've learned so many things through so many mistakes, and we can help you, maybe sort of expedite your launch without making those same mistakes. So that's cool. And then just in terms of the bonus offer, I work as an executive coach, and I have a particular 12-week program which I run. And normally that program is around about like £4,000, which I think is about $7,000. And I'm offering that for anyone that wants it for 1,000, which I think is like 1,700 over 12 weeks. And if you do want to just find out more about it or whatever, just send me an email and I can send you some more information too.
Cool. And I'm offering if you want, if you want to come and see me at the clinic, I'll give you it's normally $99 for the initial consultation. I'll check your spine for $45 if you want to come and see me. So we had questions. Yes.
How do you search for your name, like a name that you want to use for your podcast? To use?
Okay, so how do you search for a name, Gareth? What is a good way to find the podcast name?
So what phone are you using? iPhone. So if you go into the podcast app, there's actually the bottom right hand corner, there's a search sort of icon, and you can search for whatever you want. It's not the best app, the Apple Podcast app, in sort of searching for things like themes or subjects or whatever, but that's how you can search for a name of one at least.
I think the question was more how to establish a good name for your podcast. Is that right?
Yeah. Whether it's been used or not.
Or has it been used? Yeah, that's a good question. That would be Google or Nick's podcast or website searching. Oh no, that was a picture. So I don't know if that will work.
Do you need to register this name? Like, is there a legal registration of this name?
No, you don't have to like register a company name or anything like that. It's just, you just launch the name and yeah, as far as we know, there's nothing like, I don't think you can like copy someone. Like you can't all of a sudden and now also have the Joe Rogan podcast, there'll be controls around that. But yeah.
So the question is, if you don't have to register, how do you know the numbers? So the numbers are generated through your hosting platform. So you could call it Joe Rogan Podcast if you wanted to, and while you're flying under the radar still, and you could start a podcast, and your thing is registered through your hosting platform, no matter what the name is. And if you're getting listeners, you'll still be able to see who's listening to it. So it's independent from any other registration process other than registering on the hosting platform.
Yeah. So they'll get the numbers through your RSS feed. Everyone has a unique RSS feed and link, and the RSS feed, when it goes to all the different platforms that people can listen on, that will record your download numbers, and that's where it all comes from, and it's done on your hosting platform.
Do you have any other questions about starting a podcast or audio or?
So for both of you, what's the favorite one you ever did, and then we should definitely listen. Why is it?
Good old favorite one question. I think I might have had a favorite. Sometimes a favorite can be in different categories. So when someone surprises you and you didn't really know that much about them or didn't know how they spoke, and then they like blow you away. That for me is one that's going to stand out, right? And I must be honest, most of our chats have really been, when you really get to know someone in depth, everyone has an incredible story, everybody. You really sat down and say, what did you do and how did you get there? But one for me was, I forget which episode number it was, but her name is Wanjira Mathai. And she's a Kenyan woman who's, the stuff she's doing is like about leadership for youth and saving the planet. And her mother was a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. It's just an incredible story that you didn't really expect. That one blew me away, but I don't know what you get.
Yeah, it's so tough. Like there's been so many for us at least, you know, amazing conversations. Wanjira's was amazing, but then also the guy I mentioned, Paul Connolly, his was really touching. We had a lady as well recently, Sophie Savage, who's like got terminal cancer, but she brought it like a ray of light and just a different way of looking at things. But it all actually, it's so individual, the conversations that we have, you know what I mean? Like we actually sometimes have podcasts where we go, Jeepers, I'm not sure about that one, you know what I mean? And then you'll get like 5 people who'll message you going, that was, you know, that really, you know, it hit me in a certain way, and thank you so much for that one. So it really depends on the person, I think.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
How do you find the thing? Because I listened to that Sophie Savage one.
Oh, you did?
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean, how do you come across these people? I mean, this is not something that I want to do. I'm just asking.
The question is, how do we come across?
Yeah.
So basically, there's different ways, right? We had a few friends that have had cancer, and we were just talking about it. We're like, it's happening a lot. You know, everyone knows someone that's, you know what I mean? And so I went looking for someone that is terminally ill. You know, I wanted to speak to someone. How does it feel to be dying? Well, no, she said, well, we're all terminal. You know, and so, you know, it was amazing. That's how. But for example, Gareth did the Alta MBA, which is an MBA project with Seth Godin, and he put hours and hours and hours of work in there. And long story short, we got Seth Godin on the podcast because of the long tail of putting in the effort over months or weeks or years. And so there's different ways that we come across. Everyone knows someone interesting, and someone might email us and say, "Good Lord, do you know this person?" I'm like, "No, like I'll put you in contact," and off you go. So there are different ways, and I don't know if you'd add something again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing that's important to know is like we actually probably email 10 to 15 people a week. So asking, you know, if they want to be guests on our podcast. And these are people that we've heard of, we read their books, or we know of like through mates, or we follow on social media. And we probably get like 2%, 3%, maybe a bit more than that, that'll go, yeah, cool. Okay, cool. I'll come on your podcast. So, and also some of it is, it's a real nurturing process. So some of the guys that we've had on our podcast has literally been a year of communicating with them. And eventually they're like, okay, cool, we'll come on your podcast now. So we're totally aware of that you just have to accept that this is a process. There's so many people that are busy out there, and you know, timing is probably everything a lot of the time.
I think if you are in a niche, it could be a little easier to be very specific because people want to talk about their business and their niche. So I think if you're thinking of doing an interview podcast in a very niche-y subject, I think it might actually prove a bit easier. We're just like we talk about your childhood and your mother, and you know, like not everyone's keen to do that necessarily off that. So there is a difference in that as well.
So is it how to find your niche? Like, how do you find the niche?
It's a process, that's for sure. So in the beginning, like we decided to like not be niche because we're like, okay, you don't have to be. It was almost like our own kind of egos in a way, and naivety that thought we didn't need to. We kind of thought we had a kind of niche, but there's lots of different ways. Like there's some the thing that we're doing right now, we read this amazing book, or a couple amazing books, one of them being Story Brand by a guy called Donald Miller. And he's got some really great exercises within that which help you basically clarify your message, you know, like what is your message as a brand? And when you're able to clarify your own message, you're able to help identify what your niche is as well. And, you know, so we've been doing a lot of like searching and understanding and digging and all these sort of things, like to work on what our niche is. And we're currently going through this exact process right now, because we understand that we really want to be able to go to somebody and say, like, this is why you want to listen to the Ridiculously Human podcast. We have an idea, like, why, but not exactly why, you know what I mean? So we're busy clarifying that message as well. There's lots of different tools that you can use. That book I highly recommend. I think it's Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Yeah, Building Your Story Brand.
Yeah.
By Donald Miller. Yeah, really great book. It was a game changer for Gareth and I. Really, really good. For everything, just not for podcasting. That's your website, your copy, like whatever in your business. It's really worthwhile. Cool. Any other questions? I have someone here for a second.
I was just saying, I've actually had podcasting, been interviewed on podcasting quite a lot of times around the world. And the reason that people actually want, and everybody is capable of doing it. I'm coming up to 72, and I seem to have an interesting life. People can't believe that people my age still do what they do. So I'll be out somewhere at a function or whatever. In this particular case, they were talking here in Australia, and there were 4 amazing women. And one of them was from Las Vegas, and she contacted me just because of my age and my story. So I think it's everybody, every single person. And what you're saying is so interesting, because telling the story is what makes it interesting. I've just started my own web TV show and podcasting.
So tell us all, what do you do at 72?
I've just come back from Nepal. So I actually I've been looking after a village in Nepal since the earthquake. So I did a bit of fundraising, and we supplied a tractor and stretchers and stuff to Nepal. But I also did the Sacred Buddhist Path. So I took a couple of people with me. So we did that side of it, and we also did the other side. Then I decided to.
So do you think we should have her on the podcast?
Yeah. Perfect, but
there we go. That's how we do it. So thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Really do appreciate the time tonight, and we can't thank you enough. You've got all over the place. There's lots involved here. If you want to have like any other questions or like bounce ideas off us, please just contact us. Not a problem at all.
Excellent. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Another hour with you, because some of the stories you got are just so interesting.
Well, and we've got a long form podcast, so you've got to understand we don't mind talking for 3 hours.
So I really appreciate Craig and Gareth coming along. I know it's just been breakfast time for you over there. So.
Oh, bad, and my tummy's grumbling now. I haven't eaten yet.
So, and there's a whole lot more there. Actually, Tracy just came up to me. She said, you should be doing a podcast as well. Well, that's on the plan for next year as well. So, but it's good to hear people like Craig and Gareth, and to hear how easy it is, but also, some of the kickstarts to find out how to do it. And I think a lot of it's about the philosophy, finding your what your niche is. So that was really helpful. So thanks very much.
Thank you, bud. So just one thing, like it's easy, but don't underestimate how much work it is. Like please don't do that, because it's a lot of work. I mean, we probably spend 25 to 30 hours a week producing one episode. So you have to have time on your hands. And I know ours is slightly a little bit different because you do videos and things, but don't underestimate how much work it is, even though it is so fulfilling and it's a great thing to do. And it's not that difficult, but it is still time consuming if you want to do it properly.
Excellent, thank you. So who'd like to spend an hour with Craig and Gareth, just to find out how to do it? All right, well, let's draw the door prize. Let's bring up the, actually, Craig, come up. Do you want to bring up one?
I'll stand here. You can still see me there.
All right, so what we'll do is let's take it out. And let's go and stand over there so Gareth can see it as well.
You draw it.
You draw it out. You draw it out.
Gotcha. Successology.
Oh,
beautiful.
Hey, Craig, maybe we should throw one more in because it's like, yeah, let's throw one more in, like another one.
Who's thinking of starting a podcast? Okay. Okay, let's do another one. Anyone know whose cards? Yeah? Oh, there we go. Round. Oh, there you go. So,
thank you, Gareth.
Pleasure, mate.
I think one just about every time you've been here.
And he wants to start a podcast, so this is good stuff. And how about you, Leslie?
Yeah, good idea.
Good stuff. All right, cool.
Awesome, excellent. All right, well, look, actually, we've got one other person here who has got an amazing thing. She's on her way to TED Talks. Hopefully, she'll be out doing a TED Talk. And she's got a interesting thing to talk to us about. Do you want to tell us a wee bit about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll bring my computer. As I do. Okay. My name's Donnelly Perfect. I think some of you know me here. I help out a little bit occasionally. I skip a lot around the community. You may have seen me on a live. I do a Skip and Inspire live video quite often on Facebook. But I am the CEO, co-founder of the Dream Guards Perfect Peace Program. And my mission is to inspire self-belief, build resilience, and empower kids to stand up to bullying and abuse in their lives. And I've only just come back 2 days ago from a phenomenal event, Walk a Mile, Koori style. And this event was held in Newcastle. It's an annual event raising awareness about domestic violence in the Torres Strait Island and Indigenous communities. Now, we recognised 83 lives that have been lost to domestic violence in the last 12 months. There were white gowns hanging from a tree on a hill, where men, 900 men, walked a mile up to this hill, where women, 500 women, stood as the guard accepted these gowns as they walked through the garden with a pledge to create change. And what I saw, apart from this phenomenal connectedness in this community of hearts coming together and sharing a pledge about change, positive change, I just saw this incredible collaboration of people, communities, love, sharing, heartfelt expressions. And it just warmed my heart so much to be part of this event. So Michael and I, we presented to 1,000 people on stage, and we shared about how we're making a bit of a difference in our community through our Dream Guards Perfect Peace Program, and trying to create positive impact from children at this age moving forward. So we're going to see a positive ripple effect in our community, which is going to create an amazing change. And this amazing gratitude chain is a big vision. It's a big vision. What I have here is gratitude links of heartfelt expressions of gratitude from all across Australia. In fact, every single state here is recognised. I have people sending their gratitude links from everywhere. And each one of these represents something that you're grateful for. But what this beautiful thing is, it's just a heartfelt, mindful moment, just to reflect on what you're grateful for in your life. Instead of thinking about what you don't have in your life, be grateful for what you do have. Because truly, when we wake each day, we are a miracle. To have a breath, to put our feet on the ground. Thank you for today. So what I'm asking for you, each and every one of you beautiful people here today, is your gratitude link. Your gratitude link that is going to go on this gratitude chain. And it's a big vision, and I'm a peacock, so I don't care about logistics. I'm not an owl, I don't do the numbers. That's not me. I'm a peacock. So I like to just, have the big idea and connect with people and make it happen. So I don't know how logistically this is going to work, but my vision is that this chain is going to go around the entire perimeter of Australia. 330,000 links, 21,000 kilometres. And it's going on the TEDx stage with me. Connecting communities through gratitude. Because the future of community is connected. Thank you.
We've got some
links up here.
up the back there. So I'm a big supporter of Donna Lee and Michael. They do a lot of really good work in the schools, and some of the lives they change in schools, and some of the stories they tell are just phenomenal as well too. So all out here.
Thank you.
All right, so next, this is the last one for the year. So we've got, what have we got next year? We are back here again. So next event is 70th of January. We've got another awesome sort of lineup there for 70th of January as well too. So we're well underway with all that. It'll be here at the KDB Centre once again. And I think for tonight it's 10 free tickets. So if you want to come along to that, just go onto your onto the Meetup app and just go and book it tonight. And they're free. And then after that, it's open to everybody else. So thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for the last one of the year. And I hope